All right, says we are live. Sorry about that. Was having some problems starting up E-Trade, but looks like we are good to go. So welcome back to Stock Tricks with Nick for this week's midweek movers. Uh, have the agenda up here, but first I do want to say thank you, big thank you for everyone tuning in, not just today, but all throughout this past year. Last year, one of my friends pushed me into making a YouTube channel to kind of talk about all the trades, more personal finance stuff. And looking back at some of those old videos were very embarrassing, but it's really awesome to see how much this has improved and the community that we've built on this channel and on StockTwits. You know who you are, the people that have been around for a while. I really appreciate you guys. So thanks for always tuning in, leaving likes. That is great. Um, so with today's video, I have about 18 to 20 stocks that are setting up or could set up in the second half of this week to break out. Want to hear from you guys in the chat. What stocks do you guys want to see? I do have a couple from StockTwits already that some people messaged that they wanted to see, so we'll go over those and anything that you guys drop in the live chat. If you guys are not watching this live, you could still drop a comment on the stocks that you want to see, and we'll go over each of them, and I'll write back a reply in the comments. So already said thank you, but first year has been great. Let's make the second one even better. Wanted to talk about the chop box that if you follow Leif Serede, he talked about today, and it looks like we are in for a possible setup for a Santa Claus rally, which typically the last 2 weeks of December has seen strong returns for a lot of the growth stocks in the past. So hopefully we're gonna roll right into that. So this is the FFTY and IBD's top 50 ETF, and you could see, let's see, where's rectangle? Just drawing a rectangle through here, you see that this has been trading in a very choppy frame through here. So we kind of topped out September 2nd, and then everything started pulling back. September 2nd, everything was overextended. A lot of traders were calling for a pullback then. And then you go into a recovery there, and then election uncertainty popped up. Then you get the vaccine news, pulls right back down. So if you're a breakout trader like I am, you've had a very frustrating couple of months, but it does look like this is getting towards the end of this box. Hopefully, this is the end and it breaks out through there, and then we can start getting some traction on the breakout stocks again. I'm starting to see some traction in the names that I'm trading this week. I know a couple breakout traders that I talk to are seeing the same things. So hopefully we can get out of this chop box, as Leif so nicely put it. All right, so let's jump back. Oops, sorry. Quick disclaimer, anything that I talk about is my own personal opinion, not financial advice, just for educational purposes. Do your own due diligence. There is risk with trading. Here's the stock lineup I have. I don't have to go over all of these stocks on the watch list. So if you're watching this afterwards, you can just pause this and take a look. All the star stocks are stocks that I already have a position in, but are still in position to break out after they've since they've pulled back or have been kind of quiet after my entry. And then for stocks requested from StockTwits, this is what I got. So let's jump into it. First, we have AAXN. So zooming out, you can see 200 days in an uptrend. We got that 250.28 in all the correct order. So all of the trends or all the moving averages are in an uptrend. You had a really strong, whoops, need to go back to segment on that. About a 65% move, no, 60% 60% move from the base here up to the high. You'd see one pullback and it bounced right back. After that, it's pulled back to the 8-day, got bought up again, kind of did a head fake over the previous high, pulled back, and now you have 20-day simple moving average holding up really well. You have the average true range, and that kind of measures the volatility in the bars. That's pulling down as buyers and sellers are kind of agreeing on the price up here, and you can see volume very, very light. So one to watch for. I would be looking for a break over November 24th high. That's 130.41. Just because it did do that kind of fake breakout and then pull back again. So I'd be a little bit cautious buying in the pullback here. It's AAXN. Next we have AMD. This was a name, you can see my green flag right here. Bought it over the break over this local high, the high from 1117. Since then, we had some sideways action, one pulled back day, undercut the 8-day exponential moving average, but a nice fade up into the breakout. And now it's moving kind of sideways up again. Ideally, after these breakouts, to really set it up for a nice pullback buy, it would actually pull down to the right a little bit instead of just kind of flat to the right, but still holding up. Relative strengths basically flat, and volume is coming in during this flagging out area right here. So you can see 2 touches of the 8-day exponential moving average. Ideally, we get a couple more days where it goes sideways. Well, ideally for me, it just breaks out, but for people on the outside, you get a couple days moving sideways because then you could use some of these previous highs as a diagonal entry point. But this wound up and just started moving, just how it wound up, and then really got going. So hopefully we're in kind of this area of the move, but we'll see. I have my stop at my entry now after taking a little bit off the top to limit downside risk. Next, we have AMRC. This has been one that's been on the watch list for a while now. Finally pulled the trigger on a buy today, where we had this undercut of the previous lows on Monday, and that kind of set the trade up. If you've watched these videos before, you know, as long as I'm outside of the trade, I love when stocks undercut previous lows because that knocks out a lot of the stop losses that are put at the previous couple days lows. Since then, it jumped, reclaimed the 20-day and the 8-day. What price did I get it? 44.50. I think I looked at the, not 5-minute, the hour chart on here to get an entry point. What did I do? Oh, no, I didn't. I'm sorry. I just went with a break over Friday's high. So that undercut and then reclaimed both those moving averages and moved over the high. You can see this has the exact type of volume pattern that we look for, where accumulation on the green days, big volume, and then any pullback or sell-off days, the red days, very, very light volume. So exactly the right volume pattern. ATR came in. This has been in a very strong uptrend. You have the 250, 20, 8, all right there. So hopefully this gets going, and then I can start protecting my stop. But you can see this is not too far extended. You could use the high from December 1st. That would be 45.35 as another possible entry point. That's AMRC. APPS is another one. This has been a tough trade for me along the way, but it does look like it's setting up again. After this breakout turned around and had that long lower wick, knocking out all the stops. It's set up again. I took the trade yesterday with a break over Friday's high. Since then, we had another kind of sideways action day. Technically, it was lower lows, lower highs, but it closed 1.5% up. Green day, price relativities in an uptrend now, and you can see this big buying volume bar right here. We did have some volume in the pullback, but not as much, and now it's really, really quiet. I got my entry, but a break over Monday's high, 44.47, would be another possible buy point. All right. let me pop out the chat so I can keep an eye on that too. I did buy AMRC today. Yeah. All right, let's go AVTR. This was one of the stocks that didn't quite make the cut of my breakout watch list on Sunday morning, but is now setting up a little bit better than the stocks that I had talked about. So wanted to cover this. Really strong uptrend through here. What is it off its lows? Oops. Come on. 300% off its lows. So I always look for stocks 150% off their 52-week lows. Typically clears the overhead, not as much resistance up top. So here you have a really big buying volume day, and then very quiet volume as it kind of flags out here, had an undercut of those previous lows through this area, and now has gotten really, really quiet. ATR coming down quickly, and a couple possible buy points. If we get one more pullback that like undercuts these lows, and then you could buy basically whatever the previous day's high is, that would be ideal. Otherwise, I would just look for a break over December 3rd's high of 27.75. It's AVTR. BEEM, this one, I'm not going to be taking this trade, but I know people that would. So this is a high tight flag, I think. Let me measure it. So up 250%, over 90% in 8 weeks. That's the start of a high tight flag. But I think this, yeah, just violated the 25% rule. So typically once a stock pulls back down over 25% after running 90%, then you have to let it kind of base out, which means ideally 8 to 10 weeks. But this name got bought up, and now it's basically right at the high. Ideally, you get a pullback here, so when you do break those highs, it comes on some more fuel. But let's see, what is this? Yeah, up 26% from kind of the pullback. I would like to see this flag out for a little bit longer, but one to just throw on your watch list, not immediately buyable unless you take it at the all-time high. Let's see, CPS. One strike against this one is the overhead in the past couple years. So a lot of traders might be stuck up there, but I did want to mention it because it's also a high tight flag. You have 162% move in just a couple trading days, maybe 2 weeks there. You have that pullback, and then kind of the first breakout here, and then another pullback. So a break over these highs, 41.17. Yeah, 41.17, the high from December 4th is a possible buy point there. CPS. Next we have DAC, DAC, another high tight flag, maybe. Let's see, what was that pullback? 26%, close enough. One thing is this drop here with high volume. I think this was, no, it wasn't earnings. That's concerning to me. So with that as a strike against the stock, I'll kind of wait till this sets up and breaks over the high. If it does, you could get aggressive since we had an inside day on lower volume today, break over Monday's high, 14.92, possible buy point. We'll go halfway through my list. We'll get to some of the stocks in the chat, and then we'll go back. So getting best of both. So ENPH, I had a trade, kind of sold into strength, then it pulled back. So glad I got some off into strength, basically near the high there. Since then, pulled back, undercut that 20-day simple moving average, rallied, pulled back, and is now set up again. You could use Friday's high, 136.11, as a possible buy. Again, I love charts that are as tight as possible. So if we get a couple more days of sideways action to really make that the buy point with the ATR coming in a little bit more. Right now it's just kind of like flat, just starting to come in. That'll tighten up the range, so you can keep your stop when you put on your trade as tight as possible. The smaller your stop, the better risk reward you can get on the trade. All right, so ENPH, and you can see 20, 50, nope, 200, 50, 20, 8, all in the right order. Let's go IDXX. Another one, really strong. You guys get the trend by now. I'm trading strong stocks that have moved sideways, maybe pulled back a little bit, that are setting to break out again. So this one, really strong pullback on here, but it wasn't on as much volume as the next day that rallied back up. So not as concerned with that. Typically, if we get a pullback on really heavy volume, that would be a warning sign and a strike against the chart, but not too concerned with that. Since then, it kind of rallied up and has pulled back to the 20-day moving average down here. So, oops, what did I do? Oh no, shoot. E-Trade just decided to end on me. Come on, there we go. We got it back, don't worry. All right, next, oh wait, no, we didn't finish that. IDXX. Come on, I'm giving you guys free publicity. Better work for me. All right, well, that's, all right. So, got that kind of double top through here. So high 469 and 469.13. So break over 469.13 could be a possible buy point. You could see ATR coming way in. Volume starting to lighten up, still kind of heavier in the tail than you would like, than the perfect setup, but one to watch for. All right, let's take a look at some of your guys' stocks. FLGT. 250.28, so right order on that. Let's see, 240% move, 51% pullback. That's gets aggressive, but is starting to tighten up here. Yeah, so a break, this break today over the highs from the second and the third was definitely a buyable position. So let's see, 47.80 would have been buyable. What are you up now? 5%. Yeah, so that's a little bit extended from the buy point that I would like. If it does come back in, you could do a pullback buy on that. If you're already in, the move today is exactly what you want. Closing near the high of the day, actually maybe at the high of the day, maybe near the high of the day. High volume on the move, relative strengths picking up, and although this was kind of a wide base, it did tighten up here to give you that buy point. So if you're in the stock, that's great. Looking good so far, but not giving another buyable position right now unless it starts pulling back. Let's go A. Come on. All right. So let's see. Really strong uptrend. What are we off the lows? Only 91% off the lows. So this is a strong uptrend. I mean, obviously not giving you much reason to sell on the way up. I like to trade stocks that are a little bit stronger, have that breakout power to it, where this might just be one of those kind of trend following names, but you got a pullback, can start drawing. Let me pull this down a little bit. Draw a diagonal around there. Possible breakout would be a break over today's high. Maybe that gets going again. But yeah, not going to have that breakout potential that you really look for. But I mean, you got the 200, the 50, the 20, the 8 all in the right order. If you're in the stock from lower, this is strong uptrend. You're just allowing winners to run there. NVIDIA had this on my watch list on Monday. It looked like it was getting buyable with a break over the high from December 2nd. That was a, a a buy point that I was looking at. Didn't end up taking the trade. Had other names going, and then today we got a pullback day. Still really low volume, still in a very tight range. Now, if you're not in the stock, then you could use yesterday's high, 549.25. What's the high here? 550.64. Maybe a break over 550.64 would be a little bit safer because then you really get some momentum coming in. But this is still really tightly wound. Could break in either direction. So if you take the trade, as long as you have your stop pretty tight in, good risk reward on the trade. So I still have some alerts on this, but we'll see how it plays out. Let's go Moderna, MRNA. Yeah, so awesome breakout, but I'm not trying to buy stocks extended from their base 147. Interesting. I haven't looked at this chart in a little bit, so bear with me. That selling is a little bit concerning all the way down. Not sure exactly what happened there. Then we did fade back up. Either way, to take this trade, this has to tighten up and kind of create a buy point. You can see ATR is just starting to flatten out now, and that's while it kind of wedges up. I'm going to give this some time to shake out before I trade it. But if you're already in the trade, chances are maybe you got in down here. Hopefully, I guess the only other buy point would be this pullback buy, so over 149.80. Then at that point, let's see, you're up 13%. You're probably protecting your stop at that point. All right, what else? TTCF. So not really down 51%. Not really a stock that I want to be looking for. I want to be watching stocks that have broken out, pulled back a little bit, ideally within 40%. Well, ideally within 25%. That's awesome. Once you get over 50%, there's typically a lot of overhead to get through. So if this breakout does start to get going, you could see some selling pressure. But I mean, it doesn't always happen, but with trading, there's no absolutes. We're always just trying to stack the deck in our favor, take as much probability on our side, and then take the trades. 5% today. After hours, it's up big. I don't know what happened after hours with this name, but um, I have a rule not to trade stocks under their 50-day simple moving average. If it's like bouncing off the 50-day, that's fine. But one that's living under its 50-day, I'll give it some time to set up. All right, let's jump to a couple of my setups, and then we'll keep going down the list. LPRO, this you could see really strong move here, and then I had it on a watch list through here, but ended up pulling back, and then a mini kind of rally, more of a bear flag there, and then broke down with volume. So at that point, kind of took it off my watch list. And then yesterday we had a head fake breakout. That's typically a strike against it. But then today, buying volume came in, closed right at the high of the day. Let's see, 3065s after hours as well. But one to watch for, you could, let me bring this down, inflate it a little bit. This chart's a little off because it's counting the after hours, but keep an eye on a break over yesterday's high. This is still pretty loose chart, so you would have to use a stop of like 5%, just a number stop, not a previous low or moving average. So for me, I'm going to let this kind of set up a little bit better. If I do take the trade, if it goes without me, it goes without me. There's thousands of stocks that break out without me. You're not going to catch all of them, but throw this on your watch, like on your larger watch list, keep a tab, set some alerts, and see how it plays out. Let's go Lung, L-U-N-G. This is an IPO play. You had kind of a double base and then, or double cup handle, then a breakout of 30 something, no, 20%, 22%. Since then, it's pulled back. You can see it better on the 10-day, right? Yeah, so on the 10-day here, you have not 5 minutes, 60 minutes. So if this keeps tightening up, you have a possible buy point over the break here, and then because it's so tight, let's see what a break. Even with that, might need a little bit more work. Yeah, let's give this a couple more days to set up, tighten up. Let's go. Another one that I'm currently in already, but is starting to set up again is OMI. You can see kind of this double breakout. I think this was like 250% within a couple months. Since then, we have a pullback to the 50-day simple moving average that undercut this kind of valley here. Bought it. Trade history. I don't know why it's not showing. Bought it on, I think, this green day, or might have been this one. Either way, we had one kind of shakeout. Thankfully, just missed my stop. And since then, kind of ran a little bit, pulled back, and has had 4 really quiet days on very light volume. You can see I have to kind of move all the heavy volume bars over. This is getting really light. ATR is coming in. A possible diagonal buy with a break over any of these daily highs. And it does have power behind the name. 250% in a couple months is something to keep an eye on. All right, let's jump back to you guys. AMCI. Oh yeah. For the SPOCs, they don't typically trade with the technical analysis super well, so don't want to give any poor setup information on those guys. So I'm just gonna hold off on them. CBC. Brunswick Corp. So you got the moving averages in the right pattern. ATR is coming in. Relative strength's kind of down. What is this off its high? Only 7%. That's good. And oh, okay. Interesting play right here. So 30-ish% move from the base, 36%. Let's check volume now. Coming in, some big red days. So a little bit concerned with the volume on the red days versus the green days, but you're letting the 20-day simple moving average kind of catch up. It's been trading sideways. Break over this diagonal is buyable. Not quite sure. Let's see. What is this all time? Is there overhead? No overhead. That's good. All right, while that's loading, let me read the rest of the chat. Let's see, BC, DraftKings, nice. TXG, yeah, I wanted to go over TXG as well. Took that trade today, no, 2 days ago. All right, let's go DraftKings. So DraftKings has been on a roll. I took the Penn trade, PENN, today instead of DraftKings, but really nice red to green reversal here. You see that pullback under the 50, under the 20, and under the previous lows of this pullback. Set up the trade, and then just recaptured the 8-day exponential moving average, the previous day's high, and came on volume. So this is as good of a pullback entry as you could get. Everything lined up on this name. So one to watch for. if it does pull back at all the next day and then breaks through today's high 50.91, that's buyable. All right, let's go FRPT, fresh pet. Oh, that's nice. I haven't seen this stock before. 140. Ooh, adding this to the watch list. It's probably already broken out, but this is the types of setups you're looking for. Really strong move, has been an uptrend, 250.28. That's great. After the high, you have that pullback, but this sets up in a really nice tight action where you could take a break over either of these 3 days highs, or kind of split your what's it called? Your entry, put half here, then half on the break over. Man, these 4 days highs. This was a super clean chart to trade. Oh, even those highs. Wow. Really, really clean chart right here. Got a nice uptick in volume with the move today, closed right at the high of the day. I wouldn't be surprised to see this getting going. That's FRPT. All right, let me jump back to mine. LPRO long OLN. Did I cover OLN? I don't think so. So this was a name that I had been in before. Bought this breakout of the diagonal right there. Got in basically at the open. Ran, pulled back, got stopped out of it. You get stopped out of trades. The goal is not to get stopped out of or not to get fully stopped out of a lot of stocks. So when a stock goes over 7% of 7%, I typically move my stop to my entry. So my like actual capital that I'm risking on the trade is now 0, kind of playing with a winning hand. So that's probably what I should have done on this name. Maybe I did 22.30, 22.38. Yeah, so 8 cents down on the trade, protected my entry after the breakout didn't hold. That's good. Good trading. Hit that 20-day simple moving average, moved up, sideways action, kind of a gap down, rally back. Volume really, really light on both of those days. So a break over 22.85, the high from December 4th is buyable there. And zooming out here, you can see, I think this, yep, high type flag. So name to watch there. What am I? Let's go PayPal. Hey. All right, so PayPal, nice action through here. Finally got going. You can see volume picking up as it's breaking out. Then right at the top, it starts getting quiet as it pulls back. That's exactly what you want to see. Strong breakout volume. And then when it pulls back or moves sideways, things get quiet as people accept that price level. And now you can use, I guess today with lower high, lower low, you could use the break over Monday's high, 219.32. I might be a little bit cautious and go with the break over 220.57. But after this long of a coil and PayPal moving 150, 160% beforehand, this could be a strong breakout. Let's go SGMS. This was on the watch list, I think on Sunday. Yeah, it was. So let me hide that. Bunch of failed trades through here. This has been a really tough one to get a hold of, and typically the stocks that are the toughest to buy after they shake everyone out run the hardest. So wanted to keep this on the watch list. Monday was buyable with a break over the high from, that was Thursday then, of 38.25. So we got that moving. Today, bullish engulfing candle. So the lows were lower than the previous day. The high were higher than the previous day. Closed near the high of the day. So now, if you're not already in the stock, you can use break over these two guys high. That's 40.80, 40.93. So go with 40.93. Break into all-time highs. This stock really moved up and can get going again. So that's SGMS. All right, all right, let's see. What do you guys want to see? TX. Yeah, let me just run through the rest of my list because it includes some of the names on here. But first, Shopify. This is one that I had taken off my watch list for a while after broke under the 50-day. Then it reclaimed it, broke under. So this has been coiling since, man, even before September, like July. uh, two major pullbacks here, and then we rallied up. Things are getting really quiet, so volume-wise, getting really quiet in this little handle here. ATR, average true range coming in, relative strength on the up and up. So that's exactly the pattern we want to see. Volume getting quiet, ATR getting quiet, relative strength holding up, and now we can use a break over, what would that be? Monday, Friday, Thursday's high, 112.41 is a possible buy point. I think that matches with, yeah, so that's right on that line. So even a break over today's high, it it could be buyable there if you want a tighter entry point. Might actually need that since the 8 days, only 4%, low there, 6%. Yeah, so break over today's high could be buyable with Shopify. Let's go TXG, 3 more from me, and then we'll go through what you guys are showing. So this is one that we had on the breakout watch list a couple weeks ago after pulled back through here, mini rally, another slice under the 50-day, and then it set this really nice tight action through here. So a buy over here was what we were talking about. The next day, basically, it jumped up, had a big volume day up here. Ideally, that would have came with the breakout, but it's okay. We did a pullback buy in Leaf system. Then we got higher high, higher low yesterday. Another higher high, no, bullish engulfing today, but plus 4%. Now protecting some of my entry with a stop. I think it's half of my stop is there. And now you could still buy it with a break over 157.48, the 1130 high. It's TXG, and zooming out, you got a really strong move here, 230% to set the trade up. XLRN, a really nice VCP setup here, so volatility contraction pattern after a strong move. Got a pullback of 19% there, pullback of 12%. Whoops, last one. Pullback of 5%, and then basically today's pullback 4%. So I actually took this trade on a diagonal entry just to get it even tighter to the stop. So my risk here is on within 3%, I think. Let's see, 117.49. So yeah, about 3%. Because that's only 3%, I could put some larger size on this, and if it goes, if it breaks out at all, I can cover my entry really quickly. Twice my risk would be only 6%, and then we can let a free trade run. And that's the goal with, now that these stocks are breaking out and they're holding their breakouts, I have a lot more names on than I would like. In a perfect world, I have 6 or 7 names with 10 to 15% invest of my portfolio, and we're just running with the winners. Because this has been so choppy until this kind of breakout, I'm holding a lot of names that I've been moving my stops up, protecting my entry. So I need to be, if I'm going to be aggressive with putting positions on, I need to be equally or more aggressive with risk controls to keep the amount of risk that I have the same. So 3% stop is awesome with that, because if it gets going, then we can take away the risk right away. Last one, HIBB, kind of a similar setup, pullback 36%, and we had a pullback through there, 17%, mini one, 6%, and then bought today with a break over yesterday's high. This is reflecting the after hours. It's holding up pretty well. I think still in the money on this with the entry. Really low volume. Hopefully with that move over today's high will come with volume, because we want those breakouts with heavy volume. All right, let's see. Let's go Redfin. Or wait, TXG after. the indicators you're using and why. So I do have the 200-day simple moving average, 20-day simple moving average. Right, let me zoom out so this makes sense. Yellow is the 200-day, red's 50, green is 20, and then we have the 8-day exponential moving average. I use the 8-day mostly for stocks that have extended over 90%, those high tight flags, to get entries on that. Or if a stock's closing under that, I might take a position or portion of the position off just to try, to book some gains, take some risk off on the trade. I use multiple durations of moving averages just so I could see different types of traders to see what they're seeing, because there's groups or systems that will buy on a pullback to the 50-day, pullback to the 20-day to dump the stock if it breaks and closes under the 200-day. So the more systems you can manage without cluttering your chart too much, kind of the better. The blue bands here are the Bollinger Bands. That's just 2 standard deviations away from the 20-day simple moving average. I typically use those as a selling measure. So here's a good example. When a stock is breaking out, you can see these Bollinger Bands are really tight through here. And then you get some extensions, and then once I see a red candle outside of the upper Bollinger Band, that's a signal for a short-term pullback. Doesn't always happen, but that's a place where I'll take some profit off because we'll likely see a short-term pullback, which is what we saw here. Red candles outside of Bollinger Bands just typically mean that the buying has kind of exhausted. We need to start selling off. A lot of short-term traders will take some profits, me including, on the way back. So once it starts pulling back to that 8-day exponential moving average, a break back over the previous day's high, and you can add onto that. Have volume here. We want the heavy breakout, heavy volume on breakouts, low volume on pullbacks or sideways actions. In a base, as a stock's kind of basing, we want to see the volume heavy on green days and low on red days within that base, and then breakouts heavy. Have price relativity compared to QQQs. That's just so I'm always trading the strongest stocks that are getting stronger, not weak stocks that are bouncing, because bounces typically get sold off and shorted. And then finally, I have average true range down here, and that just measures kind of the length of the bars. And as the bars tighten up, you'll see this drop, so we can get a tighter range to put a position on and use the stop loss at a nice tight range. All right, so those are all the indicators. Let's go RDFN, Redfin. Nice, getting going again. Maybe this is what's starting up Zillow. So up 31% from the base. Really kind of like a lockout rally through here. Hasn't given any reason to sell other than going through some of your typical sell points if you're 2 times your risk. I like to use my average gain on a winning trade, so around 7% to take portions of profit off. But outside of that, no reason to sell. Relative strength's picking up. Even though it's extending, the ATR's pretty tight, so there's not massive bars going through. This is nice and steady run up. Ideally, this will run up, and then we get a kind of pullback, talking from someone on the outside of the trade, where then a break back over this high could be a cup and handle. But nice rally through here. Let's keep an eye on that. Let's go XL Energy. So starting to live under its 50-day. I don't want to trade a stock like that. Now it's under its 200-day. I won't look at it. We want to be trading strong stocks, getting stronger, not trying to trade a bounce. Look at this volume on the sell. You want this volume on a breakout, not a sell. When it's on the selling days, that's a bad sign. It's kind of the opposite. If you're shorting the stock, you want volume heavy on a breakdown. Then any mini rallies to that 8-day, you want on light volume. So that's kind of what's happening here. Don't want to keep looking at this. Let's focus on the winning ones. All right. Happy 1 year. Thank you. Thank you. IX. Let's take a look at this guy. Super light volume. 13,000 shares traded. So this is too light to really put on any size without gap down risk. It is, yeah, not one that I would look at. I always look for stocks that trade typically more than 200 shares a day. This is too light to put any size on. Zillow is a setup that was on the breakout watch list going into Monday, and we got exactly that. So we talked about a break over December 1st high, 111 as a possible buy point. You would have hit that on Monday as well. But even being more conservative, this downward diagonal basically was the resistance on Monday. Today, the low of the day pulled back to that 8-day exponential moving average. Then we just rocketed right over. So you can see ATR tightened up, and now we're breaking out with some volume on yesterday's move. Fine volume today with the follow through and a close near the high of the day. That's exactly what we're looking for. Let's go LAZR, LAZR. All right, nice strong move up here, 360%, but we're not chasing. So this will go in my rockets to keep an eye out for. I forget what I called the watch list, but basically, now that it's moved this high, we need it to start shaking out to flag up before we can get a nice tight entry on here. But really big buying volume, super strong move through here. So let's add this to some longer term watch lists. Let it set up and buy. We're not buying at this point. There's way too much risk on the trade. You could see even today from the open, it pulled back 22%. That's not tradable. But maybe give it a couple weeks and it starts to agree. Sellers and buyers start to agree on the price, and it becomes tradable. Let's go BILI. Ooh, this is nice. 51%, 52%. I'll pull back, another go. So kind of same thing on here. We just need this to set up. If you're already in the stock, that's exactly what you're looking for. Big volume on the breakout. Volume got quiet on that kind of pullback and then just got going again. So you can see the longer the base, typically the stronger the breakout. So good name to put on a long-term watch list that needs some time to set up. Let's see, FND. This was on the watch list from Monday as well. Friday, or on Sunday as well. Monday was buyable with a break over, let's see, Thursday's high, or today breaking over either one of the highs from November 24th and October 16th. Totally blanked on that for a second. But is exactly what we like, especially here. Let me point this out. So we had that pullback, 16%, and then we had the second pullback, which that's 18%. But I like how it undercuts this previous low because it really knocks out any trader that kind of got in on that pullback, that first move higher. This knocks them out. So it sets up the trade. We get another rally, another strong pullback with 3 long lower wicks right to that 50-day simple moving average, and then just nice tight action for 2 days, and then today it went after it pulled back under the previous day's low, probably knocking some stops out as well. So again, the more frustrating the chart can be until the breakout, typically the stronger the breakout. So I have this in my Roth IRA, but not the individual account. So that's FND. Oh yeah, let me jump to, I totally forgot about those names. Let's go to Skyworks. This was one, I think Tom brought this up, but we said, look at that kind of pull back from the diagonal there, hits 1, 2, 3, basically 4 right through there. Broke out, kind of some sideways action, but this was kind of living below the 50-day simple moving average, so didn't want to trade it through there. Now we have a strong breakout. Let's see, what is that? 7% off its breakout point. Does this have the strength that we want? Yeah. So with this, ideally it kind of pulls back or takes one more day, touches the high, then kind of pulls back, because you don't want to buy a extended run up to the breakout point and then just continuation. Hard to get a tight stop on those entries. So ideally starts some sideways action, maybe down on low volume and sets up again, but that's SWKS. Let's go. Someone wanted to see Planter, whatever. Yeah, so obviously really strong breakout through here, 210%. With that, after the high, we had a 37% pullback, so that violates that 25% rule for the high tight flag. So I will be letting this kind of base out. If it goes over the high and runs without me, that's fine. Stocks are going to do that. But after more than a 25% pullback, we want to see a good 8 to 10 week base form up so we can get those low entries after people have argued and kind of agreed on the price. We want to see volume come in a lot more, and you can see ATR is just ever increasing. That needs to get tighter before we get a nice entry on that. And there are 1,000 ways to trade. This is just how I trade. People could have seen this as a pullback buy. You see a doji under the 8-day, and could have bought that, and then you're already sitting pretty with a 30% move. Pullback buys are not my strong suit. I sit and I wait for the setups to play out how I like them. But there are 1,000 ways to make money in the market. What I found is I did a lot of system jumping the first 5-6 years of trading. Once you find a system that matches your emotional makeup, your mental makeup, you'll find a lot more success and less system jumping. And trading breakouts with low risk, high reward probabilities, that has, and not on a kind of day trading, more of a swing trade perspective, that really fits my personality, really fits kind of the risk that I like to take. So since I've really stuck with that and drilled into that kind of strategy, I've seen some consistent results. And then from September, since we got in that chop box, it's been tough, but been learning a lot and seeing a lot of good setups coming through here. All right, let's go. Oh wait, I had one more, AXTA. Yeah, so don't want to be, another one of my rules is I don't want to trade a stock where the 200-day is not in an uptrend. It looks like this is just starting to go, but you could see through here, this is the volume at each of the price ranges. So when we go up through here, you're likely to see a lot of traders trying to get out at even, and that could create some selling pressure. So not, even though this has run off the lows really strong, let's get over this volume shelf, and then maybe we can start talking, get the 200-day in an uptrend. But until that happens, there are other great setups out there. I want to focus on the best ones. PDD. So this is one that we've had on the watch list before. This gap down, undercut the 20-day and rally all the way back up. That was a really strong side. You saw the volume on that move as well. And then we just got nice extension past the previous day or previous high there. This was, what is this up from the low now? 133%. Such a strong stock. What, really kicking myself for not taking this trade. This is one that we were monitoring into kind of the election, where it was jumping up, pulling back to the 8-day on low volume, jumping up on high volume, pulling back on low volume, high volume, low volume. You get the chart. Once you get that kind of trend, you want to stick with it. Unfortunately, I was using it as kind of a litmus test for the market instead of putting my money in that one. Let's go Etsy. Yeah, so Etsy was one that we were looking at before. Let me get that. So this kind of pull back into the base downward action after a breakout, that's exactly what you want to see as long as it's not over 40%. I think this was, yeah, within 30%. So tight enough action on that pullback. One couple volume days that were a bit concerning on there, but after this kind of breakout through here, check back to that 8-day, then the previous high could have been your buy point there. Since then, another breakout, pulled back to that 8-day, seems to like that 8-day exponential moving average. Once you find the trend or the moving average that fits the pullbacks the best, a close below that is a possible sell point on the trade. This looks really strong. It's Etsy. NP. If you guys are enjoying yourself, please leave a like. Helps me out tremendously. Make sure you subscribe. We'll do a trading recap on Friday and another breakout watch list on Sunday morning. Let's see. NXPI semiconductors. This is gonna. Why did that do that? Let me jump to Neo really quick and then I'll jump back to that. So Neo finally looks like it kind of topped out here. Now we had a pullback of 33%. So it does violate that 25% of the high tight flag. So for me, I want to see now at least 6 weeks of this flagging out, tightening up before we can get a buy on there. Otherwise, a break over the previous high could be a possible buy point, but ideally this tightens up and goes. This was a really strong move. So we could see this tighten up like relatively shortly. And maybe it even goes tomorrow and just starts to take off. No one knows, but I want this. You can see ATR is just starting to come in. It's still very, very high. To get any good risk reward on the trade, we're going to have to wait for that to tighten up. Let's see. NXPI. So what looks better? I mean, this is just in a strong uptrend. Not really. I guess you could have bought these 3 daily highs through there. Maybe one buy point through here, but if you're already in the stock, you have the upper Bollinger Band as your upper bound and your 8-day exponential moving average as your lower bound. A close below that, and I would start to take some profit off. Let's see, NXPI versus what was it? NXPI versus SWKS. I probably like the first one if you're already in the stock. This might see another day up or so before it starts pulling back. I mean, it could run forever. Who knows? But this looks a little bit already extended because the Bollinger Bands were contracted. Now they're widening. But either one, if you're not trading them right now, we'll have to let these pullbacks on low volume set up for a possible buy point. We're not trying to chase these that far away from the base. XPEV. Yeah, so this was on my 38%. So high tight flag, 235% up, but then 35% down or 38% down. So that's over the 25%. We're going to need this to flag out, give it some time. Volume's still pretty high, but man, what a strong move. This is kind of why you take some profit on the way up, because what does Mark Minervini always say? 50% of stocks, no, 80% of stocks will pull down at least 50% from their highs, and 50% of stocks will pull down 80% from their highs at some point. So I always like to sell some into strength, protect my entry. And this is a great reason why you're selling some into strength. Especially you get that red candle close outside of that upper Bollinger Band, typically a short-term pullback, and that kind of started this 38% pullback. So let's give this some time to set up. With the China names, I'm a little bit cautious. I think I might have a couple Chinese stocks right now, but not trying to hold too much exposure. I need to do more research before I talk about that. I don't want to say anything wrong, but JD, like if you're going to focus on the Chinese names, focus on the strongest ones, like SE. With JD, now we closed under the 50-day. That's not a good sign. This selling volume's picking up. Not what you want to see out of the setup. This was looking like it was tightening up. Kind of forget about those two, just bounce back, but looked like it was tightening up through here. I had this on the watch list, but then we had this red candle day, and that just kind of broke the chart. So if you're going to focus on a certain name, see if there's a stock that is setting up that has better relative strength, price relativity to it. All right, we'll do these last two and then call it a day. So FUV, 220% up, 47% down. I like the volume on today's action, but and maybe you buy that as a pullback buyer. I'm not a pullback buyer, so that is too much of a pullback for me to get in at that kind of entry. I like to see it flag out a little bit. You have a lot of volume up here that's going to be tough to get through. So I do have this on my like base building watch list. So let's keep an eye on that. QCOM. All right, we'll get to CRSR. Can't say no to you guys. You guys have been so supportive this past year. I really appreciate it. This has been really fun. If you look back at some of my old videos, they're really cringy and didn't provide much value. But since doing these live streams, I've gotten, I think, much better at doing this. Really makes me do the homework on all these stocks before I take a look at them, and I've seen an improvement on my trading too. So all around, good thing. So yeah, Qualcomm. This was on our watch list from last week. You had kind of these three highs through here. So the break on Friday was buyable. Really big volume coming in, and then quiet volume as it just kind of fades sideways. That's outside of a breakout continuing higher. That's as good as it's going to get. Not giving you a reason to sell right now. This one red candle outside of the Bollinger Band. When I say a red candle outside of the Bollinger Bands, I mean like after a couple extensions through. CRSR. I love CRSR. Ran it for a very large gain through here. It was one of those stocks that had a couple shakeouts, and then I think this was the day I put the trade on, my final trade. So I want to say I averaged like 38% or so trading it. Here, wait, let me throw the trade history on. So yeah, bought it, got stopped, bought it, got stopped, and then it just took off. So good example of why you don't just throw away a chart that's still a quality setup just because you gotten shaken out on it. Because I got shooken out twice, and then it ran for 76% in what, 10 trading days, 2 weeks. Since then, pulled back. I got out on this mini rally through here. Now it's pulled back. I think it was like 50%. No, not 50%. 36%. So not terrible, but because it broke out so strong and this pullback came on heavy volume. I'm going to be a little bit more cautious with this. It's over 25%, that 36% pullback, so we'll give it some time before this becomes viable for the type that I like to trade. You could have done maybe a pullback buy like on this guy, but it would have been 22% low to high. But it is finding some support on that 20-day simple moving average. Hasn't closed below that, so maybe if you're already in this, then you use a close below the 20-day as a stop. But for me, have this on my watch list for a little base building. A couple weeks, give this some time, let volume come in, ATR come in, set this up again, because this has power to the name. So let's keep an eye on this. All right, let's see. Did I any that I missed? I don't. Peloton. Let's took this trade today. Oh, never mind. We'll just call it that. E-Trade crapped out on me, so we will just call it there. Thank you so much for all of your support this year. I truly, truly appreciate it. It's been super fun. I will see you guys on Friday for the trading recap. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the content, got anything out of it. Share this with anyone that you know might find some value in it. Give me a follow on StockTwits and Twitter, and I will see you guys